Welcome, everybody, to the Wonder Boldly podcast. I'm Christine Santos, bringing to you all of the action steps and knowledge I've learned on my journey to becoming an online business owner, quit my corporate job, and now live the life that I desire on my own terms. This podcast is jam-packed with all the knowledge I've gained over the past few years growing my online business. I am so passionate about you going after what it is that you want. I want to encourage and motivate you to know that you too can live the life that you desire. Thank you so much for listening. Let's go. Hello. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Wonder Boldly. Today, I am thrilled to have with me Monica O'Neill and Cindy Estes. They're the founders of Rapt, which I honestly can't remember how I came across you, but it was a couple of years ago. And for those listeners who are part of my Harness Your Morning program, one of the gifts that you received in your gift set was the Rapt gift wrapping. And I was so drawn to it because, as you know, I am very interested in people making a positive impact in our world, whether that is through health, nutrition, whether that is environmentally. And I was just so drawn to this. And I think, honestly, one of the things was it was so beautiful. I just was really thought aesthetically, it's almost a gift in itself. That's how I looked at it. I am not a great gift wrapper. So when I wrap with paper, it's not pretty. So I'm like, oh, well, here's my cheat. It's already pretty. And I can just follow the steps, which we're going to do a demo today, follow the steps. And I'm now giving you this beautiful gift instead of those have received gifts from me, instead of my hodgepodge of wrapping paper and a bunch of tape. So I probably, if I really think about that, that was probably another reason why I was really drawn to it. It's just so beautiful and such a great cause. So without further ado, today with me is Monica O'Neill, Cindy Estes. Thank you so much for being here, ladies. And Monica, I understand this sort of origin came from you. So would you share with us a story?
Sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having us. It's really nice of you to reach out. And I remember when you bought the boxes for your walkers, your morning walkers, which in itself is inspirational. Your work is inspirational. So it was almost 5 years ago now. I was at the Container Store buying lots and lots of wrapping paper because I'm a little bit OCD and had 3 kids. I wrapped them each in a different wrapping paper, and I have a very large extended family. I have 6 siblings, and so I was shopping for a lot of people. So I was at the cashier with a huge cart full of wrapping paper and ribbons and bow, etc. And I was at the cashier, and I just looked at my cart, and I had this moment where I just was sort of horrified, and it was sort of rude of me, but I said to the cashier, "This is such a waste. All this paper is just going to be garbage Christmas Day." And I celebrate Christmas. And I said, "Do you sell reusable gift wrap?" And she said, "No, but that's a really good idea." And the Container Store has a lot of product. So I thought maybe they were one. So I got in my car literally, and I said, "I am going to do this." I mean, it was kind of one of these, I'm going to stop wrapping with paper. Meanwhile, I did buy all the paper, and I'm going to do this. So the first person I called my sister, because of course your sister will tell you if you're crazy. And I said, and I was Christmas shopping that day. And so I said to my sister, Anne, I said, I have this idea, we've always wrapped with wrapping paper. What do you think about if we stopped doing that and did it with fabric? And I was so distracted by the idea. I was Christmas shopping that I bought all the wrong presents for people. I was one of those people on the phone in the store, like checking out on the phone, handing them your credit card. And I bought women's vests for my nephews. And I just was just really excited about this idea. And my sister said, "That's a great idea." And the second person I called was Cindy, because she's my very good friend. We've known each other since our kids were in elementary school. And she had at the time and still does a children's clothing company. So she knew about fabric, and I thought she'll know how to do this. She'll have some ideas. So I called her and I said, "What do you think?" And at the time, and Cindy, you can chime in here because you were pivoting from Seam. Her company's name was Seam. Do you want to chime in a little bit about Seam?
Well, yeah, I was at a point where Seam was starting to slow down, and I was ready to shift to something new, and you called and suggested it, and it sounded like a great idea. So we got together and we then bought fabric, brought it to my house, sewed it in myriad different ways. We added snaps to some, we ordered different things to kind of get an idea. And we're trying to figure out what was the best way to create a product to put out there. What's the
And one of the
easiest
things
way?
was how to close it. Like we didn't know how you're going to close it because you use tape normally.
Yeah. So we tried a bunch of things, and then we just came back to what is the original ancient art of wrapping with fabric in Japan, which is futoshiki. And that is what it's really for them is like a single, it tends to be one size sheet, about 19 inches, which is about our medium to large, in between our medium and large. And then that's what they sell, and you wrap anything in that sheet.
And that originated in Japan as centuries ago as a way, almost like a early backpack to carry your items to the baths, to wash yourself. And then it evolved into carrying things from the market. And so it became almost like your purse or some sort of bag. And then it became wrapping gifts.
And now we've run into people from Japan who say that what you do is you buy a fabric for, like, I buy one and I wrap a gift for Monica and I give it to Monica, and then she holds on to that fabric. And then when it's time to give me a gift, she uses the exact same fabric. So it has this like very special friendship connection that we use back and forth. We did realize that's probably not going to work in the United States. Like the gift giving culture in Japan's a little different. It's a little more honored in some ways. And so we were just trying to figure out how to morph this to work in the United States, because like you're saying, we want to keep all this stuff out of landfills. So how do we make it easy and accessible?
And when we started doing some research, as Cindy said, we found out about futoshiki, but we also found out about how much trash actually goes to landfill. And what we found out was it was like some crazy number, like 52,000, or I think it was 52,000 football fields worth of trash from just like this type of thing that, people throw it, they throw it in the trash, it would go to landfill. And then people started recycling. But the recycling piece is also tricky because half of the wrapping paper that's made has the tinsel and the sparkly stuff. That's the worst because it contaminates the recycling stream. You can't actually recycle it, all those laminates and dyes. So all those things we think were, being good recycling, it can't be recycled. So a lot of it's really, we realized there's so much waste involved and it's so easy. And actually this ended up being, our children think this is actually even easier. People who haven't used it finally do it and say, this is so easy. Like it's quicker, it's easier. In the end, you save money because by the time it's obviously more expensive than wrapping paper. By the time you keep reusing it, you've made your money and you're not going to the store to buy wrapping paper anymore.
Well, and what we also found in the US market is it feels like something that people are going to keep in house. That's one of the, like in my family, I have 4 children. And so I turn around and there's another event, right? It's a graduation, it's a birthday, it's an anniversary, it could be anything, Valentine's Day. And so you're constantly in the history going to look for the same wrapping paper. Maybe for me, I used at Christmas, right? Or whatever. But I'm going back to that, or I have to go get new if it's gone. Whereas now I wrap them all, I unwrap them and I put them in a pile and I have my little stack. And then I go back and I wrap again and bring them out. And I just never have to think about it. It's completely easy. Takes 2 seconds. You can do it anywhere. You don't have to have a table to cut it. You don't cut it wrong. You don't end up with like the sheet and you screwed it all up and now you have to throw away that extra scrap. Just morphs. And that's why we did the 4 sizes, was to kind of help people to make it easier. Because if you've got the 20-inch sheet, which is the generic futoshiki size, and you're wrapping, earbud pods or, a jewelry box, then you have so much fabric, you don't know what to do with it and it feels messy again. So we did the small, medium, large, and then the extra large. So it helps you choose what works best.
One of the other things we did is we chose fabrics that could work all year round. So we have, like we didn't, even Cindy and I celebrate Christmas, other people celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. We didn't want to have fabrics that had Christmas trees on them or dreidels or, something that's specific to the occasion, because then you can't reuse it. But our red works really well for Christmas, for Valentine's Day, for Lunar New Year. The blues, what's behind you, those those flat florals and plaids, those work all year long. We love them for Mother's Day. We love them for graduations, but we just thought, this in itself, the product's sustainable, but then the way we're doing it is also sustainable because you're going to be able to reuse it. And as this idea catches on, people will do that, but we're not going to do that.
The other piece is, having done the kids' clothing line, I would choose amazing florals and they would attract attention, but that's not the bulk of what people purchased. They constantly came back to what I call the little black dress. So they were constantly coming back to the simple solids. And then they would add like a little tiny piece of a floral to add an accent. But really the solids is where they stayed, because they knew they could always wear that dress, or the kid was going to, whatever. So the same is actually playing out with Rapt. And the more we tested it, we tried different fabrics and stuff. It's great to have a stunning floral as an accent, but most of the sales are going to happen through your neutrals. So we made a core collection that everyone can come back to and add to their collection. And then they can get the occasional floral they love.
That makes a lot of sense. It's even like the same thing that I experience with wrapping paper, right? So I have bins of wrapping paper, and then an occasion comes up. I have a daughter. I have one daughter. And an occasion, and all the other relatives are boys, so the cousins.
Yeah.
So, right. So then an occasion comes up and I'm going through the wrapping paper that I have, and it's all girl wrapping paper. Right. So that kind of speaks to what you're saying is, if it's just sort of neutral, then I'm able to reuse that, in that I'm not always having to think, okay, well, now I got to go to the store and get this, or, what have you, or he won't mind.
Well, we came up with this. So we had scrap fabric, and we were also trying to use that. And I had actually some ribbon from my kids line, this beautiful grosgrain ribbon that we had not used. And so we decided to kind of reclaim it and repurpose it for Rapt. So we took all the scraps and the ribbon and all this stuff, and we found different ways to create what we're calling accents. So that imitates, so that's grosgrain ribbon. But the accents we now include, because what it does is it gives you that same idea, the American idea of a bow on top is our accent. And then to your point, if it's for a boy and you want him to it to feel a little more masculine, typically, then you could grab a navy one, or the girl could have the pink one, and then you just take that off. But your silver or your red or your navy, your core color, works for everything.
Right. Exactly.
And so, what Cindy was saying about, sorry to interrupt, about the whole keeping it within families and using it within families. A lot of people are doing that. And then the other idea is, if you're giving someone a present and you're giving it wrapped, you're giving them two presents. You're giving them the book, but you're also giving them a sheet of gift wrap that they can reuse. And it's the idea of sort of paying it forward. And it's the idea that it's not exactly a circular economy in the way that word is used, but it's the idea that this is in circulation now. And we're all going to have, if Americans start to adopt this way of wrapping, we'll all have tons of sheets that are going to go back and forth the way we all have. I mean, how many wine bags do you have in your closet, right? Like, people give you a bottle of wine, they put it in a wine bag. I must have 25 wine bags. And so that's the idea. And our product works like to wrap a wine bottle. It doesn't have to be that shape, which that bag can only be used for wine, or maybe like a box of Dominoes, Jenga, or something like it. It's very limited.
Mo and I go to a Yankee swap every year. And over the course of the years, since we've started Rapt, now we go and everything has shifted. So now like 3/4 of the gifts are wrapped in Rapt. Whereas before it was just me or Monica and I. Monica sometimes wouldn't do it because she wanted to confuse them.
Because people would know it was Cindy.
Right.
But anyway, but now it's like 3/4 are it's very fun for us to see the evolution.
It really is. It's kind of a reflection of, I mean, obviously there are friends, but it's also a reflection of people starting to adopt this, because it's been around, as we said, in Asia for centuries, but for Americans, this is a new thing. It's sort of like everybody has a water bottle that they carry around. A lot of people are taking their bags to the grocery store. The culture is shifting, and this is one of those items that you can reuse, and it's really exciting to see. But as entrepreneurs and as building a business, it's been it's slow because we're not only building a business, but we're also building a market, because this is not a thing yet. It's not getting, it's starting though. You're starting to see people say the word furoshiki, reusable, fabric wraps. And you do see some product out there, but it's not huge, but it's starting.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, are there others out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are others. In fact, when we first started, we looked for what was out there, and we actually bought what we call our competitors now, but and we just looked and we said, what do we like about theirs? What do we don't like? What do we not like? And then that's when we were sort of trying to figure out what can we do? How can we do this? And how can we do it better, honestly? Because we thought it's got, because the things we bought as samples, we didn't like, that we thought they looked messy. As Cindy said, there's just, anyway, so then that's how we worked on our idea.
But some of them weren't messy, but there tend to be, at least I feel like I'm seeing, you buy one. So
yes,
you buy one of this like 20-inch sheet, and you buy it in a print, and now you have one. So when we all, at least for Monica and I, when we go to wrap our Christmas gifts, we're used to buying a roll or two of gift wrap, and then you wrap it all, and it is kind of, it feels a little Martha Stewart in a way, but it's kind of satisfying to have this look together. And so we came to this idea that we would sell it in kits, so that you had, instead of buying random prints that do or don't go together, or the exact same print 1,000 times, we put together sets and kits that start at 3, go 7, and then 18, so that you could buy it and it's all going to look beautiful together.
I love that. Right.
Like what's behind you, those two sets, those are all coordinating colors, and they work together.
Right.
And so it's kind of, and the fabrics we've chosen are thin enough to tie and not be too bulky.
Good.
Like you can't really use corduroy or upholstery fabric. It's too thick when you tie the knot to close it.
Yeah.
But so these are all they're thin enough. The weight is thin. And then also they're reversible. So we aren't buying fabrics that are printed on one side and then white on the other, because when you tie the knot, the back then looks white. We didn't think it looked as good. So we have really been careful about how we choose fabrics. And Cindy's got such a great eye. She's been putting fabrics together for decades. So she's really great at coordinating all of that.
So tell us a little bit, let's go there. So tell us a little bit about the business side of this. So for those entrepreneurs new or thinking about something, how does that all come together? Because Cindy, you had a lot of background there. It sounds like that you were able to apply.
Yeah, but it is still, as Monica and I were talking about this morning, it's a constantly evaluating how it's working. So like in the beginning, we were selling it in smaller kits and smaller sets, and then realized, oh, okay, we need a core collection. So then we created those. And then we realized, okay, but the bow on top is like, how can we use these scraps? So then we added those. That was something that differentiates us. And then we've sold to stores, but wholesale's tricky. So the margins are tricky at wholesale. So because we're buying really nice fabric, so then we're going direct to customers. And then when you put it in a store, to Monica's point, it's not big enough that people are really looking at it and going, I can do that. They don't they're not asking the woman, hey, do you have, pot holder? Do you have, fabric gift wrap, and grabbing it at a high rate. But when Monica and I go to like SOA or different kinds of pop-up shows, we'll say, do you want to see how it works? And then immediately they're like, oh, I can do that. That's easy.
When people see how to do it, they say, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? And it's true. It's kind of one of these, it just seems like a no-brainer.
So overall, how would you say business is going?
Business is good. It's slow, but we were surprised by the sales. We've realized it's a seasonal business, because most people, we sort of knew that ahead of time, because when we looked into the research, the majority of people buy gift wrap at the holidays. The sales of gift wrap are mostly at the holidays, Hanukkah and Christmas being the top two. And obviously people have birthdays all year, but that's kind of the bulk of it. And that's when we're seeing the biggest uptick. And so
it's definitely a Q4 business.
Yeah.
Quarter 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so right now it's very slow right now. So we're using the time to find, Cindy's found some beautiful fabrics for the holidays. We're using some of the fabrics we have still, but we also are trying to introduce, some new product every year, so that there's fresh, looks, but we still have the core collections. And so we're using the summer to kind of do that. We're hoping, everything will pick up in September, starting in September,
Right.
October, once people start thinking about the holidays. I know there's that whole sort of Christmas in July thing, but I don't think it's, I mean, personally with this heat, who's thinking of anything except, right?
Trying to stay cool.
Trying to stay cool.
So I see a lot of things, but so do you keep a lot of the supplies? How does that work? So
Right now the business is in my house, and
Okay.
it was, so we if we get bigger, we're a small company still. And as I said, we're selling in a few little stores. We've had some people reach out to us about wholesale. We've had some corporate gifts, but for the most part, it's online. And you're looking at the fulfillment department. But so we have it in my house, and because I'm an empty nester, one of my kids said, "Mom, you can use my room," so I took over his room. And anyway, so he's our children are all really supportive of the idea. It's actually very cute. And he's actually he's a really good customer. I mean, he's a non-paying customer right now, but he's a 27-year-old young man living in New York City, and he's not exactly our demographic, but he's using it and is very enthusiastic. He'll share. And when his friends have birthday parties, he's always he's always calling my mom, "Can you send me some more Rapt?" And I said, "You got to pay for it, Jane."
Well, my favorite part is that your husband was telling me that when he and his girlfriend go to events, they just grab it and they wrap it in the cab or the Uber.
Yep.
Because that's how easy it is. And it's true. You don't need a flat surface. You don't have to have tape and scissors or anything. You just stick it on your lap. We have a few videos on our
on Instagram
that show Monica wrapping on a train, in a car, on a boat. Yeah.
I'm doing a whole transportation series.
Yeah.
I love it. We'll definitely share that. And that's funny because that is so true. Everybody's so busy, right? So when you're going to events, I know I've done this a million times. You're stopping at the store before you get to the event, and you're like, okay, I got to bring the scissors in the car and the tape. And if you forget, then you got to get them at the store with the wrapping paper, with the gift, and then you're pulling over, wrapping, or when you get to the party, you're kind of like hiding in your car, wrapping it before you walk in. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
Most gifts like that, like a hostess gift, is a lot of people think about last minute. So it's a very good last minute.
Very good.
And it's easy to like Monica can show you a piece, or you have behind you a piece of wrap that you just throw in your purse, right?
Yeah.
So that's all you need is just one sheet in your purse. Think about traveling somewhere for Christmas. You just throw a few sheets in your bag. It's just, you don't do that with gift wrap. And if you do, it might get wrinkled or ruined. So it's just incredibly flexible.
Yeah. So what would you say, we talked about it a little bit before we hit record, but what would you say is the biggest barrier for you guys from your customers, or
just changing mindset?
Yeah.
And because the initial purchase is more expensive than buying the gift wrap. And so you need to kind of convince them that this is going to play out, and also that they can do it. It's the dovetail of those two pieces.
Yeah. But we have customers who are return. We have a lot of repeat customers now, and we think that what we've learned from them is that they're keeping it in house. We have people who have ordered multiple 18-sheet sets. So we're, this person we haven't actually gotten a chance to talk to yet, but we think she's keeping. We know she has a large family, but she's keeping it in house and using it for the holidays. And it's just that type of person is, is going to buy more because then they may start giving it away. But the barrier to enter, you're right, what Cindy said, it's a new idea. So we've really tried to cover every holiday. Someone celebrates Kwanzaa, we have the reds, the greens, the blacks. We actually have a beautiful black fabric that we call Skyline. It just looks like, city skyline. And we've tried to think about every holiday there is, because the United States is large and very diverse, and there are a lot of holidays. So we tried to figure out, do we have something for everyone? We actually have we think we have something for everyone. When you see a collection, we think we have something everyone would like.
Yeah, I love that. When I left my corporate job about a little over a year ago now to continue to grow my business. But anyways, when I was in corporate, I was in upper management, and I did that whole because I feel like we are so diverse, but we don't celebrate it enough. So I did that whole like research because I was just educating myself, like, what are all the things that we celebrate? You know, we're all going around here, Merry Christmas, and which is great, but there's so many others. So anyways, I just love that you said that.
Yeah, we just had there's, what was it? Just like a few weeks ago was a Muslim holiday. And I've learned it myself.
Right.
I went to high school in Morocco and knew about Muslim holidays, but I didn't really know about them in a way about gift giving. And we've learned a lot about the different holidays.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So tell everybody how they can find you.
So we are online. I mean, you can get to it through Instagram if that's the easiest. You can buy it off Instagram. It's at Rapt, Rapt, gift wrap is Instagram, and then online it's the same. It's
Our
Rapt.
website is wrappedgiftwrap.com, and it's RAPT.
And there is, if you go to the website, there's a first 15, there's a code where you'll get 15% off on your first purchase.
Oh, perfect. I told my mom is 84. She lives with me. I'm very fortunate. And she is very concerned about the earth and the environment and all the things, right? And I told her about you guys that I was interviewing you today. And she's so excited. So I think she was up in the middle of the night last night on your website. So I'm not sure.
It's so great.
You're getting orders from an 84-year-old woman here.
You're never too old. We recently had a sale of how old was he, Cindy? This older gentleman.
Oh, that was so sweet.
Called me sorry, I don't know. I think we're running out of time, but I'll quickly tell you. An older man who called me randomly. I was actually traveling at the time, but he said, "Is this wrapped gift wrap?" I thought it was a spam call. I said, "Yes, this is Monica." And then we started talking. He said he wanted to wrap a book for a woman he was asking out on date. I think he was in early 90s. He was 92. And he goes, "But I don't know how to, I'm not a good rapper." So I met him for coffee in a town near us in Arlington. And he brought his book. It was this French book. Anyway, it's a long story, but, and I wrapped it for him. And he was so appreciative. And Cindy said, "You're never too old to learn something new." And I thought, this is a perfect example. I mean, this man is, it was so cute. I don't know how he found us. He said he found us online.
And he was so excited that you wrapped it.
So excited. I'm actually going to circle back with him to ask him how his date went, but also to see if his date liked the book and the wrap. But it was funny. So
that is
your mom's in good company.
Yes, wonderful. That is so cute. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for doing this and being with me here today. I really appreciate it. And is there anything else before we end today that you want to let folks know?
Good luck to all your entrepreneurs out there. I know you're working with them. It's not easy. I know you wake up every day with problems to solve, which I find interesting, but sometimes it can be challenging, but stick with it. And hopefully success to all of your audience.
It's funny. Monica and I just saw a play about the beginning of the Lehman Brothers, and I was struck by how many times they had to pivot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I always talk to Monica about when I read that Sarah Campbell, anyway, Spanx, the woman that started Spanx, she refused to let them put her Spanx in the hosiery department. She created a little thing and put it next to the cash register where they sold white pants, because it changed the moment. It changed the moment. The woman's changing into pants. You get her to try it on. You just had to pivot. You couldn't put it there. You had to put it here. And those little things can matter. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You had said something earlier too that was, the change in the mindset of it. You were thinking about it square and then you went diagonal. Yeah, exactly. Those are good points.
We also have directions in the kit. There's directions on the website. There's tutorials. So we do have the directions kind of everywhere.
And if you're local, if you're anywhere near Boston or Belmont, Massachusetts, reach out to us, because we love meeting people. And sometimes I even deliver locally when it's easy and it's nearby. And the last thing I'll say is my sister-in-law I did a blog about it. It's on our site. She spent a lot of money last holiday and bought kits for all of her relatives. So for my brother, for my brother's children, for her sisters and nieces. So she said, "This is going to be my Christmas present to you." She gave everybody, she said, "When we exchange gifts, I want us to use Rapt." Obviously, she was supporting us, but she loves the idea. But she's also thinking, this is a great idea to use within families, as you're saying, and then you're keeping the investment within the family, and you're going to get it back. Because we always get that question, can I take it back? And we always say, It depends on your relationship with the person, because it's sometimes kind of awkward
Right.
to
That's
take it
funny.
back.
I hadn't thought of that. That's funny. Well, all right. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you so much.
This was really fun. Thanks for reaching out.